Tonight, we're looking ahead to the primaries of the political parties, as we said, in Edo State governorship election. The Independent National Electoral Commission had fixed September 21, 2024 for the Edo State governorship election. Well, the party primaries, we're told, are meant to hold between February 1 and February 24, 2024, while the submission of lists of those nominated candidates by the parties via the INEC online portal will start at 9 a.m. On March 4, 2024, after the primaries, of course, and it closes by 6 p.m. on March 24, 2024. Now, according to the INEC timetable, the final list of candidates will be published by the Commission on April 23, 2024, while the campaign in public by the political parties commences on April 24, 2024, and ends as prescribed by law 24 hours to the election day, and that happens to be September 19, 2024. Tonight we have a conversation with two aspirants who hope to be the flag bearer of their respective parties at the election. Please permit me to introduce Dr. Angela Aburime Asom. She is an aspirant with the Labour Party in Edo State. Good evening to you, madam. Good to have you on the program tonight.
Good evening. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. We have Okungbowa Paul Obokan. He's an aspirant with the YPP in Edo State. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me, Kofi. Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, they say ladies first, so please permit me to go to madam there, of course, who is, I think, is a rarity. In fact, they asked me to introduce you as a female candidate. I deliberately didn't do that because I feel that you are in this race not because you are female, but because you have what it takes despite your gender. But of course, it's a rarity, in this part of the world that women step out to be governor. I want to ask you, Dr. Angela Aburime Asom, why are you in this race?
I'm in this race because I love Edo State, my home state. I love the people of Edo State, and anyone who's following what's going on in Edo State knows that we need good governance. We need to move Edo State to where Edo people can live a comfortable, productive, and dignified life. So I'm in this race to do that, to help us achieve that.
All right. And you are a medical doctor practitioner, from what I can see. Of course, you're dressed in your lab coat, and I can see your stethoscope around your neck. Does someone from your professional, calling, have a place in politics? Doctor.
Yes, everyone has a place in politics. Politics actually belongs to us all. This is what we have to educate everyone on. The issue of how we live, what policies we set to move our lives forward, how our governance is handled, is an issue for everyone, regardless of your profession, your gender, or your age, really. How much you can participate will be determined by a lot of things, of course, but politics is for everyone. The politics of Edo State certainly is for me right now, because I am looking to move Edo State out of the multi-dimensional poverty that these previous governments that we have had has pushed us into.
All right. We'll come back to that in a second. I want to ask you, Paul, why you are in this race.
Well, this is a political time. It's easier for me to say the race because I want to make things better. It's actually easier for me to say that. But the truth is, I'm in a race because my father's generation hasn't done any better. And I'm a victim, a real direct victim of maladministration. Life is not interesting, really. I feel my generation has been long ostracized from the grand scheme of things. And of course, the very idea that God did not list leadership with age or with political class or family title or wealth, I think it's ideally supposed to be listed around leadership. People are supposed to have some stellar qualities that should make them stand out. And all of this could be raptured into ideas that can make the people live a better life. This is what you now call policies, if you have to put it in political terminologies. And so I feel like I have a lot to offer my people. I feel like I've been doing the much I could as an individual, and I can no longer do it as an individual. And I feel it's time to speak to those who have held the reins of powers for generations, and then those who have ostracized my generation from bringing to bear their God-given potential. And so I feel very entitled to be in this race because I know that my generation has what it takes to make life better for our people.
Well, Kongwa Paul Obokan, just share experiences. When you say you are a direct victim of maladministration, how do you mean?
7 years ago, I lost my father to medical malpractice. It started with the NMA going on strike. And all of this is to say that there's been some squabbles between the medical practitioners and the government. And all of this subsisting to revenue, remunerations, promotions, and what have you. And so I feel my father would have been alive now to support me greatly and immensely if the medical situation hadn't failed him. As I speak to you now, I change my car tires almost every month when I drive to go and see my mother because the road that leads to the community where I grew up has been like that for more than 40 years. And I think it's going to get worse. And so I feel like the economic reality just now is not fair to those of us who have decided to live our lives by good conduct. My mates are usually into fraud, usually into other vices for monies. But you see, when those of us who have good ideas cannot even bring our ideas to fruition because the economic reality just now negates good potentials, I feel like we are wasting away.
All right.
I turned 40. I turned 40 very recently. And that was like January 3rd here. And I feel like if another person becomes governor and does 2 terms, which they mostly do back to back, I'll be 48. And my youthfulness is eluding me every day. My creativity is eluding me every day because the younger generation ought to be doing smarter. So I feel like my generation is losing. And I feel like a voice to those of us that were born late 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, who have indeed become the real victim of maladministration. Because before now, our father generation will gloat with words like when they graduated, they were begged with jobs. When they went to university, they graduated and they were having school food feeding programs. When they graduated, they had options of jobs that they could select or choose from. Well, I think my father's generation has done the much they could. And this has led us practically in some sort of economic quagmire, in some sort of political fiasco. And this has not in any way resulted to development as development ought to be. So we feel like we've been ostracized and we have the right to now speak up.
All right. Interesting. We sincerely sympathize with you, with your personal story that you shared there. You know, may your father's soul rest in peace. We shared something almost similar. But I want to go back to Angela. You are the third, or you were the third female aspirant, you know, to pick or to indicate interest and to pick up a nomination from your political party. Don't you think this will make it more difficult for a woman to emerge as the candidate of the Labour Party in Edo State? You think it's better for the women to come together and say, let's pull our resources together. It's already a difficult terrain for women in Nigerian politics, and let one of us go.
Thank you very much for that question. But before I go on to answer it, I want to express my sympathy to Mr. Obokan, and I'll come back to that in a little bit. What he just talked about with his late dear father is one of the reasons why I'm in this race. So coming back to the women, I would say as Friday, I am the only female aspirant who has picked up her expression of interest and nomination forms. So true, I'm not aware if anyone else has picked up their phones. However, I want to beg your pardon and your permission to say that you will not ask that of a male aspirant. There are, at least on the Labour Party side, 20 male aspirants trying to clinch the ticket. I don't think you would ask them if they would merge their desire to work for the people of Edo State. So I think we should leave that question and really talk about who I am and why I'm here. Yes, I'm a woman, but as you alluded to, that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I'm qualified. I'm a medical doctor. I have been a medical doctor for over 30 years. I have administrative experience. I love my people. I have empathy. I know what being in leadership entails. I was trained for it right from my days of being a chief resident when I was training to specialize as a pediatrician. So being female is not what it is. It is about capacity. It is about empathy for the people. It is about diagnosing what the problems are in Edo State and honestly trying to solve them. It is about realizing that you can't solve these problems alone. You need people. You need all kinds of people. You need young people, old people. You need everyone. Edo State is in such a bad state right now, and I doubt that this has just happened. This has been a gradual
Angela Aburime, I'll come to the problems in those states shortly. But like you said, I already pointed out that you are in the race, not because you're a female, but you are there as an individual. However, I asked that question in the light of the agitations, the campaign, over clamor by all of us for greater women participation, for affirmative action, or what I call positive discrimination in favor of women to make it easier because women are underrepresented in Nigerian politics. And of course, one of the strategies some have talked about, some have advanced, is that, we should have women supporting women as a way of, pushing the agenda of greater women participation in politics, which is very necessary. Women are grossly underrepresented. So I'm just simply reflecting questions out there, opinions out there, not my personal opinions, but opinions out there. People who say, well, if it's so difficult, for a female aspirant to get a ticket, the Bible says, one shall chase 1,000 and two shall chase 10,000. So maybe if you pull your resources together, you might be more formidable. But of course, you've given me your thoughts on that. I'm just trying to explain why I asked the question. How much did your nomination and expression of interest forms cost in total?
15 million naira.
Okay. We're told that the party fixed 30 million naira. And I've seen reports that say your party has 3 candidates. So I'll go back, probably call maybe your national chairman, someone to find out. But reports I've seen said they have 3. That you were the third. But I was told it was 30 million naira. So what happened to that?
So the Labour Party has given women the voice. As you rightly noted, there are 3 women on the Labour Party platform. That everyone should applaud the Labour Party for that, including women. If the Labour Party is premised on social justice and equity, it is doing exactly that by encouraging and allowing so many females. I think this is the first time in the history of Edo State that there will be 3 women aspirants. So kudos to the Labour Party. On my part, I have supported this party for about 2-3 years now because I believe in the party. If you actually go through the manifesto of the Labour Party, what you would ask yourself is, why won't you join a party like this? So in the same vein, the Labour Party has decided that to encourage women and to support women getting into this race, he would give a 50% discount on a 50% discount on the expression of interest and nomination forms both. So while that totals to 30 million naira for men, it is 15 million naira for women. So that has been very helpful in my approach to this race.
All right. Do you think, what do you say to people who may say that, or the view that a party like Labour Party, who is, coming out presenting itself as a new alternative, third force in Nigerian politics, should veer away from humongous amounts being charged for forms, 30 million naira? I don't know how much YPP is collecting from you, Paul. Albokan, how much are you paying?
Well, the YPP has pegged our sales of expansion forms and nation for 15 million naira, and they have also graciously given a 50% waiver for anybody within the age of 35-40, and women and people living with disabilities. So currently that's what we've been communicated from the national office. But I'm still protesting even if 50% required from me, which amounts to 7.5 million. I don't think leadership at any point in time should be wagered on some, especially for a political party that is yet to clip power. I think for me, it is immoral for even the Labour Party and my party to have such gargantuan requirements. Because if I plunge that resources that you're asking me to devote to purchase of form and information form and expression to, it should go a long way in eventual outreach. So I feel I'm making up my case with my party to further do a review. And I believe the leadership of the party and the state executive are alive to reason along with me on this. We hope that will present a good case. Not necessarily because the resources is scarce, but because we feel we want to be the party that ordinary people should look up to. And I believe, as enshrined in our constitution, the nomination form and expression form must be affordable by those who carry the right ideas to lead. So we're still on negotiations. Okay.
All right. Well, you think that it's immoral to have such forms cost such amounts. That's what you said. Now, I want to go back to Angela. Angela, what's your take on that? He thinks it's not right, maybe morally speaking, to sell forms such amounts. Just to point out that Labour Party says it's different from the other parties. It's a new alternative. It wants to change Nigeria. But the difference between Labour Party and PDP, for instance, which is a governing party in Edo State, who you want to replace, who you want to kick out, it's just 5 million naira. The nomination forms for PDP go for 30 million naira. The expression of interest form goes for 5 million naira. Of course, for the PDP, the expression of interest form is free for female aspirants and those with disability. So they'll still pay 30 million naira. So I want you to convince our viewers, convince Paul, who says it's immoral, that the Labour Party is different. It's not still the same Labour Party years ago who was about the highest bidder. It's different. And it's not, taking advantage of the groundswell support and popularity it enjoyed to rake in a good bounty because of this election. Why? Why should such amounts of money prevent the poor or those who do not have money but have the idea, the capacity to deliver good governance? Why should such amount of money prevent them from contesting? So I want you to address what Paul has said. I'm just re-echoing it. Angela?
So thank you, Paul. My take on this is the Labour Party and the Labour Party working committees at the state and national level would have done their due diligence in arriving at what the fees should be. What I do know for sure is, as aspirants, we have been in a meeting with the party leadership several times, and the party is very open to negotiations. So, for instance, what we were told when this matter of the youth, women, and people with various handicaps come in the race, we were told that the party is ready to sit down with anyone and review their needs on a case-by-case basis.
But Angela, wouldn't that allow for lack of transparency, lack of accountability, man-to-man arrangement, under-the-table arrangements, and victimization? What are they hiding? If your party has to be convinced, if your party has to be made to negotiate for them to make it easy for Nigerians to use its platform to contest, so the best man or the best woman, maybe yourself, can emerge, but who may not be able to afford it. If they have to negotiate, then maybe it helps the argument that Labour Party is no different from PDP. It's no different from APC. What's the difference?
Yes, so if I may, as a leader, as one who's run organizations, we must all put everything in perspective. The political parties have a lot of expenses. I would tell you, as an example, I have run into a situation where the people who work for the party are not paid. They don't have an income. They don't have health insurance. They don't have good cars. They're driving on the same roads. They're working so hard. They're doing all kinds of things to sensitize the people. They are educating people about the process. But Angela, they can call for donations. You're in the United States where people volunteer. All of that requires. Would you please let me finish? All of that requires money. Now, I'm not for the party. I'm not for the people. I'm just looking at this very objectively. So, if any group feels that this is too much, I certainly will benefit from lower costs. However, there's room for dialogue. I don't think it is fair on any party for anyone to label a fee that they've put forth and are willing to talk about it immoral. I don't think that's fair, personally. Also, to your point of do I agree? I don't agree or disagree. This is a party. They've told you what they want to do. It is up to you to argue your case. The Labour Party actually was higher than that, but we were able to successfully bring it down to 50%.
All right.
So there's room for dialogue. We're not going to run a state by accusing each other. If there's things we don't agree on, let's come together, let's dialogue. And then let's do the kinds of things you're saying. There may be other ways to raise money so that we all get to where we need to be. I don't think it is...
Angela, we have to go for a break. We have to go for a break, Dr. Asom.
I will stop, I promise. I don't think you should call it under the table. If you're a woman, you're a woman. That's obvious. It should be.
No, I'm saying it will give room. I'm not saying it will. It is.
You're disadvantaged.
Yeah, I'm saying it'll give room. It may give room for. You see, we know Nigerian politics. We know once something is not made official, we all know what happens. But we'll be right back because I want to know, since your party is trying to raise money by charging Nigerians 30 million naira for forms. I want to know what happened to the millions of naira Nigerians donated to the Labour Party during the 2023 elections. Where did it go to? We'll be right back after this break. Maybe Paul will say something about that when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still Politics HQ right here on News Central TV. My name is Kofi Bartels. We're looking ahead to the political party primaries ahead of the Edo State governorship elections. Of course, the Independent National Electoral Commission has fixed September 21 for the election to elect the next governor of Edo State, going by the Nigerian Constitution that talks about the time between when the election should hold and then the end of a tenure of one administration. The party primaries will hold from between February 1 and February 24, so any moment from now. Also, the submission of a list of nominated candidates by each party via Annex online portal will start by 9 a.m. on March 4, 2024, and it will end by 6 p.m. 20 days later on March 24, 2024. Of course, INEC will then go ahead to publish the final list of the candidates of the various political parties for the Edo State governorship election 2024, and campaigning that will happen on April 23, and 2024 campaigning will begin on April 24, a day later. And of course, it ends at 24 hours prior to the election. That ends on 19th of September, ahead of the election. Let's remind you of our guests before we continue our conversation. Dr. Angela Aburime Asom is the Labour Party's aspirant, one of the aspirants for the Labour Party. I hear she's a third, though she's told me I need to cross-check that. But it's quite a loaded field. Former NBA national president Olumide Akpata, amongst others, recently picked their own nomination form. So Labour Party's field is really strong. Dr. Asom herself is a medical doctor, pediatrician based in the United States of America. Also, we have Okongboa Paul Obokan. He is an aspirant with the YPP in Edo State, and of course, he is also pushing himself forward as a young Nigerian. Some would say young frustrated, but I don't want to use the word frustrated, but young Nigerian who feels enough is enough. And the generation of his fathers have failed. It's time for his generation who have suffered. I'm part of that generation. The most in Nigeria's history. It's time for them to take the reins of power. All right. So, two fantastic guests we have tonight. Paul, you were trying to comment when I asked Dr. Angela Asom about the cost, 30 million naira for the nomination form by Labour Party. And you want to respond to some things she said in her answer. So over to you, Paul.
Yeah, let me respectfully state my observation that Dr. Angela, I just noticed that she lives in the U.S. I saw from the timeline, Michigan. And I also noticed that obviously she's a practicing doctor from all I can see. But you see, it's okay for one to, you mentioned negotiations. Let me say this, Dr. Angela. You live far away from here. So I'll tell you actually what happened this morning in Benin City. And here's what happens every day. When you make the cost of procuring governorship ticket exclusively for those who have the finances to do it, you have obfuscated leadership from politics. Politics is for the rich. It is an expensive game. And that's why the rich have been playing games with our lives for long. But we're simply saying, marry politics with leadership. If you marry politics with leadership, you will see that it is not supposed to be an expensive game. The people have they deserve the right to hear the poorest of the poor, if only he has the right ideas to steer the ships of their collective life in the direction of progress. The people can also rally around such and donate their little nairas and kobo as it is obtainable in the US. Sadly, the political equation in this part of the world states that the rich, the high and mighty, believe that all they need to do is to hijack political platforms and then present themselves to the public. And of course, the public becomes completely awash and lobotomized by what is before them. And then, of course, when they have the money to spin these narrations in media, doesn't mean that the rich have exclusive rights to leadership. So I still maintain my grounds that it is immoral for political parties to make the process of leadership selection exclusively to the rich, because we can't afford this cost of nomination form. but doesn't stop the fact that we have the right ideas to steer our ship, and we should be given an opportunity to speak to our people so that people can decide to own the process. When the people own the process of leadership selection, whoever emerges riding on the backs of the people, we have a natural duty to be responsible to the people. But you see, when the high and mighty, the plutocrats, when they rally around one of theirs, the government is centered around them because the policies that will promote ab initio is the policies that will favor the rich, all the mighty donors into their campaigns. And then again, let me say unequivocally that I was a member of the Labour Party, perhaps me before very many of you became members of the Labour Party. You can ask your state chairman, Mr. Kelly Ogbaloy. He knows me in person. Whenever there was crisis, he would call me. I'll go to his office and help him iron things out. When I left Labour Party, aspirants like Ikoroge Dennis, I think he came from the UK, and the likes of Pastor Azeme were all still in Labour Party, when I already declared that the Labour Party belongs to the high and mighty and to the wealthy class of people. Dr. Angela, I feel the responsibility to tell people like you, who I believe have good hearts and good intentions to salvage the political space and, of course, bring leadership to the people, that the platform where you are belongs to some people. I don't want to mention their name, but one man is to decide who becomes the governorship candidate of Labour Party. And I'm sure if you don't want to start using statements to correct the understanding of the party, you should start making inquiries from those that left the party. Because those that left the party, we've been communicating. Some have come to tell me the things you said earlier is exactly what played out. And so you cannot tell me right now that it is not immoral what is happening in the Labour Party. So when I even said my own party doesn't have the right and monopoly to be throwing up such copious sum, I am standing on the ground that common people who do not have the financial resources but have the cerebral resources, but yet could be rescued by the collective finance of the people, should be given the opportunity to accentuate their candidature, not be truncated from the Edo State. Before it even starts, it's truncated by the copious sum that is required to purchase the nomination form. How many of us can afford the Prado jeeps that you will line up everywhere and carry security van everywhere? This doesn't mean you are much more gifted than us or carry the capacity to lead the state more than us. This simply goes to show that what I've said is still what I'm saying. It is immoral for political parties to make nomination forms and expression forms expensive. All right,
Paul, please, I want to give your counterpart a chance to respond because she was also making some points. Angela, please, over to you, Dr. Angela Asom.
Thank you so much. And Paul, please, my brother, do not be offended. I just don't think it's fair. I don't use the word right or wrong. I just don't feel it's fair to accuse any party the way you are. This is my opinion. I respect yours. So this is what makes the dialogue very rich. This is how we get problems solved. A group has an idea, another group has a different idea. We all come together and we come up with the best solution. So yes, by all means, if that is how you feel, I respect that. But I disagree. So I hope you can respect that. So let's go back to some of the issues at play here. What we really need to be doing is talking about transparency, talking about accountability. You brought up the issue of how is money spent. This is a very good question. I ask the same questions. I'm sure our constitution and the INEC has provisions for auditing the accounts of all the political parties. Are we doing this? If monies were donated to any given party at any given time, where are their books? So this is what I'm proposing. This is exactly why I'm going into government. I am saying that we need a government, political parties, organizations even in our own homes, we need to be accountable. We need to be transparent. We need to see where the money is going. The money needs to go to what it is purported for. It is our common wealth. So we need good roads. We need hospitals. We need electricity. We need food. We need to take care of our children. As a matter of fact, I'm a pediatrician. Nigeria has one of the highest under 5 death rates in the world. We have one of the lowest life expectancies at 55 years. All over the world, the average of that is 65 years. How do we solve these problems? We don't solve these problems by accusing each other, by getting angry with each other. Yes, I totally agree with Mr. Paul Obokan. The youth need to be given a chance. But do you have to start from being a governor? That's your choice. Should you ask that fees be lowered? Yes, it's within your purview. But it doesn't have to be done because you said so. We have to ask. The question I'm asking is, and I've asked this, why did you peg it at 30 million? We have all seen the devaluation of the Naira. And I will ask Mr. Awokan here, has he been around the 18 local governments? I just did that. I've been in Nigeria for about 3 weeks. I'm always in Nigeria. This is my proposition. Every Nigerian ought to be free to live wherever they want. In Edo State, in China, in South America, Nigeria is home. We should do and get to where everybody is. We should have people coming, bringing their foreign exchange to settle in Nigeria and live in Nigeria and bring their monies in because we have an environment that is conducive for that. We need to generate foreign exchange. We need to go into agriculture. Mr. Obi said we need to move from consumption to production. This is what we need to be talking about.
Angela Aburime, so I'm so sorry to interject.
We need to be kind to each other. We need to come together.
Yes, I'm so sorry, Angela. Please bear with us. We have to go for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. For those of you watching at home, please stay with us. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Heated and very passionate conversation between two aspirants in the Edo State governorship race. We have Angela Aburime, Asom Labour Party aspirant. We also have Okongbowa Paul Ovokan. He's an aspirant with the YPP both in Edo State. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We're back. I just want to ask you, Paul, how will the primaries of your party, the YPP, be conducted? Are you going with consensus? Are you going with direct or indirect voting?
Well, I think the party has the right to make that decision. Mine is to participate. The last time I checked, I used to be the only candidate. Somebody somewhere has indicated interest to run for same office under the same platform. He's welcome. But he's my father's age mate. And I think that the very nomenclature of the party doesn't really support doesn't support certain aspirations. Whatever decision my party or whichever mode my party decides to adopt, I am known to just wait things out. All right. Especially as it concerns doing it the right way, because I don't have money to share to any delegates.
Are you sure that there'll be no katakata as we're used to in party primaries? You see one thing, but you see another result.
Mr. Kofi, there's a reason why people like me have stayed alive this even within the 4 decades that I've been on this life without having enemies, is that I don't drag what's naturally mine. If you decide to monetize the process of the primaries or you try to go around the process, I will not join you in that. See, I have lived a life that is above the average young person's capacity. Okay,
Paul, please hold the thought because of time. Yeah, Paul, please hold the thought because of time. I just want to quickly take the thoughts of Dr. Asom. How, are you aware, has the party informed you of how the primaries will be contested? Because that's where the first set of Wahala starts. And how confident are you that the party in your state, because Paul has said someone is controlling who is going to be the candidate. So how are you going to navigate that?
Thank you for that question. I'm absolutely not sure where Paul gets what he's saying from. And
maybe you should call him after now so he can give you the 411.
Yes, I will. However, but let me tell you what has been told to me. It will be a level playing field.
I'll drop my phone number. If she calls me, I'll talk to her.
It will be a level playing field. That's what I've been assured of. I have seen nothing so far in this journey, which for me has spanned several months. I'm always in Nigeria. I'm an Edo child. I love being in Edo State. I'm from Iduele Ewu. I'm from Upper Sakomba in Benin City. I'm from Uhumode in Edo State. I'm a true Edo child by my pedigree. However, one must not use rumors or divisions to make conclusions that just have no meaning. So everything so far that I'm hearing from my brother Paul is hearsay. What the party has told me and what I believe in and how I have been treated is that this will be a level playing field. So I am going to do what I need to do. I am reaching out to the people of Edo State. I've been to all 18 local government areas. The reception is phenomenal.
Dr. Asom, we have to go.
To continue. And so let's just do this thing.
Dr. Asom, we have to go. We have to go. I'm so sorry because of time, but it's been a thrilling conversation with both of you. You're both fantastic individuals, and we wish you all the best. But I mean, for the YPP and for Labour Party, we'll be watching, we're monitoring, and we will applaud your parties if you can conduct your primaries without any complaint. I want to thank you very much for your time. Dr. Angela Aburime, Asom, aspirant of the Labour Party in the Edo State governorship race. Okombua Paul of Okan, he is an aspirant of the YPP in the Edo State governorship race. Gentlemen and lady, thank you kindly for your time.
Thank you.
All right. And of course, to those of you listening and watching at home, to you watching, we want to say thank you for your time. We hope you enjoyed the show. We have more conversations coming up tomorrow, same time, same station. My name is Kofi Bartels. Good night.